Louisiana's renewable energy projects face an uncertain future as President Trump moves to eliminate federal funding for clean energy initiatives. The potential changes in federal energy policy raises concerns among environmental advocates and industry leaders who fear it could derail progress toward a greener and more sustainable state economy.
First Grace United Methodist Church in New Orleans serves as a neighborhood resilience hub, storing solar energy for use during widespread power outages and natural disasters. It's known as a community lighthouse, equipped with commercial-scale solar power and backup battery systems to offer resources such as charging stations, food distribution, cooling and heating centers, and support for medical equipment. It's one of several Louisiana solar initiatives that participate in federal programs and subsidies, now facing an uncertain future.
Community Lighthouse launched in 2022. As of today, we have 15 operating sites. We hope to have 80 sites across Orleans Parish and upwards of 500 sites across the state of Louisiana.
Will this be paused with the executive orders in place?
The state of Louisiana applied for a large infrastructure bill grant called GRIP, which is a Grid Resilience Grant Program. Community lighthouses were a large part of the project portfolio that was submitted to the federal government.
The Trump administration instructed federal agencies to pause the disbursement of funds appropriated through the Inflation Reduction Act and the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act while conducting reviews of solar and wind initiatives.
Louisiana was awarded $250 million to build microgrids, resilience hubs across the state. That money is currently frozen. We are not sure, when or if the dollars will be freed up. And that is money that really puts our most vulnerable residents at risk. These are dollars that go directly to low-lying areas, parts of the state that are really on the front lines of climate change and are most susceptible to unfortunate outcomes following power outages.
Solar for All, another federal grant program, is also waiting for promised funds to install solar panels on low-income houses. Orleans Parish has approximately $150 million in Solar for All projects in the queue.
A repeal or even an extended freeze of both Inflation Reduction Act money or IJA, Infrastructure and Investment and Jobs Act dollars, would really be destabilizing for the Louisiana solar market.
The Trump administration mandated a comprehensive review of existing wind energy leases and declared a national energy emergency aimed at bolstering fossil fuel production and infrastructure. The executive order excluded wind and solar energy from the definition of energy resources.
President Trump's offshore wind ban isn't just ridiculous, it's self-destructive.
At a recent meeting of the House Natural Resources Committee on Offshore Energy, lawmakers debated whether the nation is experiencing an energy crisis, and if so, is more offshore oil and gas drilling and less solar and wind energy generation the solution?
I'm just wondering if you could tell me, how do these two industries, the oil and gas industry and the offshore wind industry specifically, work together and complement each other?
It's no secret that I've been talking about a balanced approach to energy for our nation for many years now. We have been talking about an energy addition for our country for all those years, not to the detriment of oil and gas.
Director of Port Fourchon, Chet Chesaw, testified at the committee meeting, calling for certainty and consistency in federal regulations and policies while defending Louisiana's offshore wind initiatives.
When it comes to everything that's been done in the offshore energy sector, when it comes to offshore oil and gas, that is absolutely transferable to offshore wind. In fact, customers of Port Fourchon, our users, were some of the many companies that built Block Island. We are actually retrofitting vessels in Port Fourchon at Bollinger Shipyard to work in the offshore wind industry in the Northeast.
Louisiana's first wind turbine will reside at Port Fourchon in its coastal wetlands park. The research and training turbine stands 187 feet tall and will provide some power to the port. Gulf Wind Technology is coordinating the turbine's assembly and testing as part of its overarching effort to develop Louisiana's wind blade manufacturing industry. Otto Candies is a third-generation marine service provider. His family-owned company, Candies LLC, builds vessels that service offshore oil and gas. The company diversified and outfitted some of its vessels to service the offshore wind industry, primarily Northeast wind farms, and it has hopes of one day servicing more Louisiana wind energy providers.
President Trump, one of his big pushes is energy independence. And I think personally that the more sources that you have of energy, the more energy independent you can be.
The potential deprioritization of renewable sources in federal energy policy could derail Louisiana's evolving offshore wind industry, which is part of the state's all-above energy strategy that includes oil and gas exploration and production.
I think taking a thoughtful pause to really look at the industry and see what things we need to do to make sure that it is economically efficient is a good thing to do. I think what we don't want to do is put a permanent halt on another source of energy for our country. And I think that if we develop it in the right way, it helps us both economically and from an energy independence and national security standpoint. So I think that developing all types of energy is really the right path for our country.